G'day everybody, Type 40 Artist here once again. How are you all? Long time no see as per usual, I know, but I am here once again to try to entice you with some more Aboriginal art. So trying to do something a little bit different here. So I know this one is a vertical piece, so I do apologise for the screen ratio. But as you might have guessed here, I'm starting off here with a Kookaburra. And I really wanted to do a Kookaburra because I see them all the time where I am, and I very rarely see them represented in Aboriginal art. Now that may be for a couple of reasons. I mean, some artists won't put animals in their art at all, and some keep to just simpler animals like lizards, kangaroos, things like that. Mainly because kangaroos sell, but I wanted to do something that just that I say all the time. I'm not really caring about what sells. I just wanting to try some things. So you'll see me going through a few different design ideas, not liking a lot of them, but I do eventually settle on one. But it just took me a long time to really decide how I wanted it to look. So these are trying to sort of depict the feathers and the colours that the bird has on them. So up north you'll see a lot more with that little bit of blue on their wings. Down where I live you don't see that so much, but up northern Queensland and Northern Territory and even in New South Wales you will see them with a varying amount of blue on their wings, which is really nice to see. So these are the final products. I think that it's turned out really well. I've done one with the full background and then one with a bit of a transparent background. So they work sort of different on different medium when I put them on Redbubble. So the next one, I wanted to do seahorses. Again, one that I haven't seen much of, but obviously here in Australia and around the world there's plenty of seahorses, and recently we went to what is actually called Seahorse World and saw a lot of seahorses. This is sort of a depiction of that, so I wanted them to sort of represent more of a pattern, or just because like when we seen them, the biggest one was very small. Like unless you're going into the sea dragon territory, the seahorses in general are very small. So I wanted to depict that with showing them in more of a pattern design rather than a showpiece. And in the full version, you will see that it's lots of tiny seahorses, because that's the experience that I had when I went to the museum. There's just lots and lots all in one little area. They loved to swarm, especially when they were being fed. Really great experience. If you get the chance where you are, you can learn quite a lot just by going there as well. They even had a bit for the kids where you could pick one or two of them up. Obviously not with all of them. I think this was just more with the specific ones that they know are not going to get too damaged by it. But yeah, really great experience. As you can see here, I'm just doing sort of a close-up of how I'm actually going through and dotting and doing the pattern. I don't have much more to say about the seahorses. It was hard to decide on a pattern again once I got to it, but not quite there yet. You will see that process when we go through it pretty quickly. At this point, I still haven't decided on a background, which is why the background is just grey. That's just the sort of the standard if you don't have a background set for ProCreate. So just got a transparent background at the moment, I suppose you could say. And yeah, it's it took me a little while to really decide. I did want to get sort of this dot pattern right without a background first though, and then decide on the background later. And yeah, it's like that's what it looks like just with white, which doesn't look great because most of the dots are white. But yeah, you see me going through these pretty quickly actually, and I do eventually turn the seahorses off as well, just so they don't get in the way of the pattern. There you go. And yeah, more close up of the dotting. So I'll leave you guys with this for a minute to watch me go through the process. So just experimenting with a few different colours here, putting a few symbols down the background there. They are a depiction of traditional Tasmanian symbols, which I know of from that's where my ancestors come from. So yeah, hopefully it's sort of subtle in the background. I wanted to keep it kind of subtle. But yeah, overall I'm quite liking the colour there, so I'm moving on to the outlines at the moment, just outlining each seahorse. Now when I, as you would have seen at the start, when I did the seahorses, I did sort of just copy and paste them just so I didn't have to redraw every single one. However, when doing the seahorses outline, I did want to do them individually, so each one has its own outline, just to give them each one that little bit of variance that you might not really pick up on looking at first time, but you know, if you have a bit of a closer look, they are slightly different because it's very much how they were when I seen them at the museum as well, or aquarium. Yeah, aquarium is the right word. So they all look pretty well the same when they're in the cluster, but when you get a closer look, you can see those little details that make them an individual. So I wanted to capture that a little bit, so they kind of looked like a stencil, but still looked individual if you look closer. So I thought just doing the outline individually would hopefully give that effect. So as you'll see in a minute, in the top left, I'll zoom in to show the patterning. I do apologise for the quality here. I should have thought about zooming in when I was doing the recording. It would have been better quality. Instead, I'm just zooming in on the base recording. But trying a few different patterns out here, trying to get them right. Eventually landed on one, as I do. Then the other thing I wanted to do was sort of represent their ability to change the colour for their environment. So I've made each one a little bit of a different colour. Again, giving that individual spark and also showing what they might look like as, they change colours. And I've also just done the background without the seahorses. Then I wanted to utilize this background a little bit more because it's something that I like to do. When I get something that I like, I'll often recycle it and use it for something else. So I've used this one just in the middle, just sort of to represent sort of like a river or a lake or a creek, some sort of water flow at least. And then we've got what can be depicted as either rocks or shrubbery on the left here. Sorry, on the right. Get my left and right mixed up now. So yeah, this one is a depiction of a hike that I actually went on recently. So this is representation of that, very loosely represented. So for when I was doing them, the bits on the left and the right are shrubbery, and the middle is a lake. I know the shrubbery probably should be green, but it just didn't look right color wise, so I went with colors that more contrast with the background. So we've got some oranges and reds instead. So the hike that I went on was at Lee's Paddock, or a place called Lee's Paddock. It's up near Cradle Mountain, and it was great to see. There was lots of waterfalls, it wasn't actually a paddock at all, but it led to an old paddock that was used to rear cows and whatnot. But yeah, very lovely walk. Not much for exercise, so it was a struggle for me a little bit, but nice nonetheless. So obviously you've got this far. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, do like this video and subscribe. It does mean a lot to me. Even though I don't put out videos as much as I like to, I consider this a hobby, and I do appreciate all the support that I get. So thank you and goodbye.